day. I take it. I do not do one-on-one stuff. I don't have any plans for that right now either. I'm just focusing on the program, being able to get that together and come out hopefully before the end of the year, as well as some ongoing workshops that I think provide an availability to go a little bit further than we can on here on Instagram, but still be able to offer it to a large number of people, which one-on-one training would definitely limit in terms of time availability and that sort of thing. But who knows in the future, maybe, but just no immediate plans for that. I would say don't be too hard on yourself. I think even a year, we can't fully tell what changes we're going to see. Remember, it takes 9 months to fully grow a human and then deliver that human and then raise that human, which requires a lot of other changes in sleep and hormone levels and nutritional status and all those things that kind of take a dive a little bit too, even if it's unintentional. So at least a year for really good strength returns and changes at minimum. And again, that depends on how your pregnancy was, how was your delivery, where are things at in your life right now. But I would say the most important things are give it some time and consistency. So even if it's 15 minutes a day of focused work on that really can be a game changer. You need to find the root cause of why pelvic floor tension continues to exist, whether that's because of a weakness somewhere else that the pelvic floor is doing too much work. So hips, glutes, core is really common. It could be because of your breathing and you're not diaphragm breathing all day. And when we do that, we're not going to connect to the pelvic floor. We're going to upregulate stress. We're going to upregulate tension. So it's a little bit of a twofold issue. So it requires kind of understanding what your root cause is. Poor bowel and bladder habits that persist despite doing other stuff can continue to perpetuate that as well. So it requires taking a lens and looking at all the different factors to find your root cause and then implement those changes and see. So Matt is in the medical world too. He's actually a physician. He does radiation oncology specifically. And we met when he was finishing med school and I was in PT school. We actually met on match day. If you're familiar with what that is, that's when you find out what residency program you got chosen to go to. So yeah, I told him we also matched on match day and the rest was history. But you guys will have to meet Matt one day. He hasn't actually officially come on ever on my stories or anything. I can't believe it. You've only seen pictures, but yeah, you'd like him. You pee when you sneeze. Try doing this thing that's called the NAC, which is activate the pelvic floor from the bottom up, lift first, and then sneeze. And if that sounds like, well, who the heck can do that when I'm sneezing or coughing? You literally can't train yourself. You practice it. Like, even if you don't have to sneeze, you would stand there, you'd like activate, exhale, pull in, and sneeze and cough. And then you'd be surprised at the ability to do that when you feel it coming on. I am not a fan of a lot of these things that are sold to women with the idea that like there's an easy button that you can hit, because like there's not. And when you understand how the pelvic floor works with the rest of the core as a coordinated unit and how our habits and postural dysfunctions and all these things can get in the way of that, it doesn't matter how strong your pelvic floor is. If you don't know how to coordinate it, then it really falls short of getting to your root cause. So I would save my money for facials and stuff, and I would work out and do the things that are going to solve the pelvic floor issue from its root cause and do something else with that money. Maybe coffee's not your trigger. Maybe it's the fact that the more fluid you have in your system throughout the day that you notice leaking more. Maybe there are other irritants in your diet that you have not realized before, because it can be anything from sparkling water to acids like vinegars in your salad dressing that you have for lunch, or tomatoes and spices. And there's a long list of stuff that are bladder irritants. So that's something. It could be maybe muscular endurance, and maybe that is showing through the day. And if it is a strength-based issue that you need to work on, that could be something to consider. So that could be, it can be if you're generating tightness through posture during the day, and you might start to notice that as well. Speechless. I don't know. That's why I have this page. Society, our medical system, our medical educational system. There's lots of issues surrounding it. PT clinics you have to see somebody one-on-one for pelvic floor health. It's hard to do for a lot of clinics these days to see people one-on-one, to keep their doors open with how low insurance companies are reimbursing. Like it's like there's a lot of broken things in our system that make it really hard for people to get that access. So honestly, that's why I'm here. I really hope so. The goal is that it would be impactful for anybody along the spectrum of pelvic floor and core dysfunction. And to do that, I structured it with a strong educational component to start with that targets a lot of topics that I would talk to you about if I saw you in the clinic. So I kind of really thought about, like, what would I do with somebody if I saw them in person? And how can I best deliver this to people to use at home? So there's that, and then it's 4 weeks, 3 4-week programs. So 12 weeks in total of a progression, which would also be a pretty realistic expectation of seeing somebody in person and then progressing them. But it would be very detailed and take you through everything. So it's 4 weeks of like a reset. If you have a tight pelvic floor, we're working all on down training. Even if you don't, we need to make sure you know how to relax and contract, and then slowly build in strength from there. The second part of this was, could this be my issue? Probably really high likelihood that C-section scar tissue and decreased sensation in the area from the scar can cause that. So that's definitely something that can be addressed, even if it's 18 years later. It might require a little bit different approach than if you were newly after a C-section. So some people have a lot of very visceral